Hello everyone. Today's poem is Zheng Wind, Zheng Wind from the Book of Songs. This poem is a very popular, famous, and mysterious love poetry, as most of us take it at today. The wording is quite popular and famous and still widely used today, like the word 邂逅, which means encounter, very likely an encounter of a love affair, which started a love affair. And 清扬婉兮, it was the very sophisticated word to praise a lovely, nice-looking, beautiful girl. So this is all from this poem. Well, at the second half of this video, I had a new argument about the content of this poem. In the reality, my argument is true or not doesn't matter at all, because this poem was taken as a love poetry and the wording was interpreted as it is of today, roughly since 2000 years before. So in all the 2000 years history, this poem and the wording in this poem was taken as what it is of today. My argument is just to give you some of the history background and what were likely the people in that time take this poem. So that's the fun part when we're reading the classic literatures, classic poetry. Some of them, the wordings, even the article, the whole poem, the content was misinterpreted sometime during the history, and then the misleading followed till today. So this means a poem could have his different meaning and interpretations in different times, and all the misinterpretations actually became the one aspect of that poem, and which make that poem with multiple aspects, with multiple feelings, and with multiple meanings. Okay, let's get back to this poem. The title 野有蔓草 means in the wild there are grass and wine, or especially Kudzu. The character man means curds, wine. Actually, it's a new created word, or it's a new appeared words in the Zheng Wind, because before the Zheng Wind, the wine was called as ge. So you will see many poems has this grass, has the wine, which normally is the metaphor of the bloodlines, because the wine has a long cord which very likely simulate the bloodline, and it's normally parallel the branch bloodline. So the main bloodline is the royal family, is the king's family. 蔓草, the wine, is the first thing that aroused my argument to this poem. Okay, let's get to this famous and very simple poem now. 野有蔓草，零露漼兮. In the wild, there are wine cools around. It was covered full of dew. So this gave us a very vivid picture in the wild, in the early morning, and very likely in the autumn's time because of the climates of this place. So, but normally, or more popularly, it was considered as the springtime. But if we look into the climate in this place, with heavy dew in the morning, only happens in the autumn's time. So why it was interpreted in the history, it was the springtime, because they think it's a love poem, and the timing for the love affair in the wild only happens in the springtime. So they just make all the factors consistent, and sometimes without confirm the real facts or the real things in this place in the Zheng state. Okay, the next sentence. 有美一人清扬婉兮. There is a beauty there, and she or he looks like so clear, so upward, and so tentative. 清扬婉兮, remember the words. It's a very, very sophisticated, a nice word to describe a girl today. So, 清扬婉兮, because this poem interpreted is a love poem, a boy encountered a lovely girl, 清扬婉兮, and so this wording was interpreted or categorized as a word to describe a nice-looking, very kind, tentative girl. Okay, the next sentence. 邂逅相遇，适我愿兮. So we encountered in this wild place, and that's meet my wishes, and that's the wishes I want. That's the things I want. 邂逅 means encounter without a date, without any plan. So that's a encounter by chance. 适我愿兮, 适 which means meet, arrive. So this encounter meets or arrives to my hope, to my wishes. Okay, let's review the first paragraph with the general explanations. So, in the early morning, in the spring, in the wild, out of the town, there are a lot of the wine grasses, and this guy encountered with a beauty. Could be he or could be she, but generally we think it's a she. So that girl looks 清扬婉兮, is so clear, pure, and so upward, shining. 婉 means is with style, with very tentative. And we too encountered without date. We happily encountered at this wild place, and that's my wish, that's my hope for sure, and I do like to encounter with this beautiful girl. So this is a normal explanation for this poem, but there are some of the conflicts or questions with this explanation. Let's see one of them. 邂逅 means encounter, so this is a very normal and widely used word till today. It means encounter. But if we interpret in 邂逅as encounter here, how do you explain the next words? 邂逅相遇, 遇 means to meet up. So if we translate this sentence word by word, we happily encountered and we meet up. So what does it mean? So it's a duplication. And you can never find such duplications in the Book of Songs. And it doesn't make sense as well. So 邂逅 actually means another meaning, which means 邂 normally means very loose, relaxed. 后 means see, see someone. So or looking. So 邂逅 in this poem should be explained as a relaxed appearance. So this means the two meet up here very relaxed and very happily. So which makes sense. 邂逅 means very relaxed and happy. Another question is the sentence 有美一人. In modern Chinese, no doubt it means there is a beauty there. 有美一人. So there is a beauty there. But in the classic Chinese, especially in the time of the Book of Songs, 美 means big. So there's many poems has the word 美, but most cases, or maybe every cases, it means big. It means big, not beauty. But anyhow, it shares a lot of things with beauty because they think big is the aspect, one of the key aspects of a beauty. So finally, through the long history, this character loses its original meaning of big, giant, and finally it became a word today. It means beautiful, beauty. So if we use the very original meaning of this character, 有美一人, there is a giant, big one. And in the Book of Songs, if we refer someone big, two cases, a lord or a dead, passed away father or grandfather, an ancestor of the poet. This also coincides the following word, 一人, the one person. In the classic Chinese literature, 一人 means the Lord, and most cases it means the king of Zhou. So normally you will see 于一人 because this guy is a very, very special guy. So he is the only person that qualified to claim him as 一人 or 于一人, my one person, or I'm the only person. So 有美一人 for the ancient Chinese, when they read this poem, it's something very clear and straightforward, which means there is a king, or there is my passed away ancestors. And by referencing to other poems, especially a poem in Zheng Wind and Zheng Wind, I do believe in 90% of chance here 有美一人 refers to his ancestors, his passed away ancestors. And this also coincides with the season in the autumn's time. They went to the wild and pray for their ancestors. With all the arguments, the first paragraph looks like this. In the early morning of the autumn, the poet went out of the town into the wild place, and there are so many Kudzu, so many wine grasses around, covered with lot of the dew. And by approaching to the tomb cemetery, or maybe in a ceremony, he saw his passed away ancestors, 有美一人, and he looks so pure, so shining, and so tentative. And here, very likely, they are playing a ceremony to use a junior kid to be an actor of their ancestors, which was so called as shi, and they treat this actor as their dead ancestors and let him to play the role of their ancestors in the whole ceremony. So that's a very clear and real vision that he can see his passed away ancestors, which means he see that actors. And finally, they meet here to fulfill the ceremony, to pray for the ancestors with a very relaxed and happy feeling. And that's all he wishes, and that's exactly what he hoped for. Thinking about or praying to the passed away ancestors is not always a sad moment. Even today, we still have the idiom as 红白喜事, so which means red and white happy affairs. The red happy affair means the wedding ceremony. The white happy affairs means the funeral. Well, it has some of the conditions, which means the passed away should be a good passed away and reached his age. So that could be a very fortunate death in the man side of the Chinese culture. So in that cases, the funeral is a white happy affair. 红白喜事. So the funeral, or thinking about the passed away ancestors, not necessarily be a very sad moment, could be some of the very happy moments for Chinese. Okay, let's get to the second paragraph, and let's keep the two interpretations in mind. Let me do the general interpretation. 野有蔓草，零露瀼瀼. In the wild there are Kudzu, there are wine, and the dew became more and more on the wine. 有美一人，婉如清扬. There is a beauty there, and she is so bright, shining, and tentative. 邂逅相遇，与子偕臧. So we encountered in this wild place in the early morning, and we both should be fortunate and lucky. Or I hope both you and me are fortunate and lucky. So this is a general explanation, and do you find some of this something not very appropriate? If it's a love poetry, if it's an encounter of a love affair, and when they make wishes, what the wishes should be. What do you think? You are lucky, wish you are lucky, wish I'm lucky, wish you are fortunate, wish I'm fortunate. Is that a love affair looks like? Of course not. If it's a love affair, the wishes should be, let's fall in love forever. Let's meet up very soon. Let's have another date. So and so forth. Not like in this poem. Let's wish we are fortunate. Let's wish we are lucky. So if we use my argument, it makes sense because he prayed to his passed away ancestors, and his passed away ancestors, on the contrary, to send the fortune to him. So this is a mutual praying, sort of the mutual praying. He prayed for the luck for his passed away ancestors, and his passed away ancestors sent back the fortune and luck to him. So let's wish we both are fortunate, we are both are lucky. So that's very natural. The last sentence also call back to the first sentence, 野有蔓草. So we are on the same bloodline, like this Kudzu, like this wine. We are the same family, right? And I wish the live and dead both are lucky and fortunate, right? Did that make sense? Okay, that's for today, and bye-bye.